Welcome back. And the other major talking point that the markets have been awaiting is progress on the India-US trade front. US team of negotiators is currently in India. And one of the most important sectors having exposure to the US markets has been the shrimp feed sector. And the sector, the stocks related to it, all of them have been in focus ever since the tariff announcements of 25%, then 50%. And we are now being joined to discuss the current status and what are the steps being taken by the industry to navigate this. We are now being joined by Divya Gulati, the chairman of CLFMA India, and Sandeep P, the director at CareEdge Ratings. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining in. I'll start off with you first, Mr. Gulati. There have been enough and more reports that have mentioned that the shrimp feed exports, which was a core US export first, has now found other markets beyond the US, in the European Union, in countries like China and Vietnam and so forth. What is the current status with regards to shrimp feed demand for exports besides the US markets? And if you could also tell us what's happening with US exports currently as well.
Okay, thank you for having me. At least now the people have realized that how important this sector is feeding the people of India. Okay, let me start with some statistics. India approximately exports around $4.8 billion worth of shrimps to the world, out of which $2.5 billion is alone to the US. India produces approximately 1 million metric ton of shrimps annually. In the current financial year, India has already exported around $2.5 billion worth of shrimps, which is 50% of what we have been exporting year on year. Out of which US itself is approximately more than $1 billion, which they have imported because of the onset of the tariff. So a lot of importers from the US have preempted this, that whatever would happen in the August 27 discussion. So they have actually stocked up the material. So they've already imported more than $1 billion worth of shrimps into the US. The second biggest market for India is China. China imports approximately $1.4 billion worth of shrimps from India. And that's 100% home consumption for them. Currently, China has already imported 50%, more than 50% of its requirement. We are estimating that approximately India will still fall short of around 10 to 12% of its year-on-year exports of the value which we've been getting. So the major importers now, the plus side is that other than the US, we've been able to increase the supplies by more than 30%, which amounts to approximately $1.38 billion, which we have already achieved. So this is the current status in terms of the frozen shrimp exports.
All right, we take that point. Sandeep is also with us. Sandeep is the director at CareEdge Ratings. Sandeep, of the analysis that you've done on all the listed players that there are, this 10 to 12% shortfall of exports, who will that hit the most, and how will that impact the balance sheets of these companies?
Yeah, good afternoon. So broadly, I agree with what Mr. Gulati said in terms of the overall picture, in terms of front-loading of US imports. And about 10 to 12% or 10 to 15% is the number that we are also looking at in terms of a drop in the exports from India to the overall global markets. Listed players in this space are pretty limited. There are only a few players in the feed industry. What we are talking about is here shrimp exports, direct shrimp exports. So most of them are the unlisted players. There are a few who have kind of been able to manage it because of the diversification benefits. If you look at the non-US exports in the last 6 months or so, that has also been pretty significant. I think we've done about $2.24 billion of non-US exports vis-a-vis 1.65 quite year to date, or probably till October, November. So in terms of the opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities in the markets like China. As Mr. Gulati said, China has kind of taken large volumes this year. Vietnam is another reprocessing hub where the exports have pretty gone up there also. So most of the players are kind of being able to adjust their supply chains or their markets, and are able to kind of, although the full benefit may not come through immediately, but efforts are on in that direction. So from a credit perspective, we see a bit of negativity, but I don't think it's alarming at this point of time because of the front-loaded stuff which happened in the beginning of the year.
Mr. Gulati, from an industry... All right, I think we have to cut across to Satya Nadella, back at some of the announcements that Microsoft is making here. And we'll be...
Okay, this time around, let's double down. And so we have now we are committing to skill 20 million people across India in AI skills. And so we are very excited about this. In fact, talking about skilling, it was wonderful meeting with the Minister of Labor as well as the Secretary of Labor today, and hearing from them their enthusiasm for the systems they are building around e-Shram, which is fantastic, right? It's about taking the unorganized sector in this country and bringing them to meet the demand in the economy, such that they can pick up the skills, get the economic opportunity. It's one of the most inspiring public sector systems, because it takes the people who need the most help and bring them the most competitiveness. And so let me end by sort of showing you a video of this. Thank you all very, very much.
India has more than 400 million unorganized workers. They're earning only day-to-day wages and not getting any benefits. We need to shift the people from the informal to the formal sector. That would help us to develop our economy. Through the initiative of e-Shram, the National Unorganized Workers Database was developed, and we are able to provide those workers with social security benefits, also giving them access to the National Career Service Portal.
That was Satya Nadella there. Let's go back to our conversation with Mr. Gulati and Sandeep. Gentlemen, thank you for waiting by. Mr. Gulati, just to take forward Ritu's question, as an industry, what are the steps that you all are currently taking to ensure that this 10 to 12% shortfall doesn't affect a lot, does not have a very major impact on the exporters? And part two is, what more can be done in order to help offset this shortfall in the year ahead?
There are three steps which we can take. First is because we are solely dependent on exports for this sector, is like we've signed the FTA with Russia, we've signed the FTA with EU. So 106 units have been given approval for exporting their shrimps, because Europe requires a very highly biosecure, and they require a very high quality product to be imported into Europe. So 106 units have been given permission. So we assume that the pickup will take place from there also. The permission has been given recently. Russia is something which is very new. So we expect that takeoff also should take place from January onwards. They're still trying to formulate the exact requirement, because it requires a sanitary import permit and whatever the deals are in terms of setting the standards for importing into Russia. The other is also to, Japan is already importing approximately $500 million worth of products from India. So East Asia also could be a sector which we could improve our sales to. Now, what's happening is that Vietnam imports a lot of shrimps from India, and they do a value add and then re-export to the various parts of the world. So if there is a shortfall of the Indian shrimps, which is going into the US, a value addition can be created through Vietnam and then exported to the US. This is step number one. Step number two is basically till the time we don't give an agricultural status to the shrimps, because if it's a $5 billion exports for the country, then we need to take care of this sector. Until today, the aquaculture, except Maharashtra, has given the animal husbandry as an agricultural status. Now, what agricultural status does is that it gives you, the credit, the insurance, and all the benefits of being in the agriculture sector.
Mr. Gulati and Sandeep, thank you so much for joining in. Sorry to cut you in right now. Running short on time, not out of questions. So we'll do this discussion on another day, maybe perhaps when we have some more clarity on the trade deal. Let's, on that note, take a short break, come back. On the other side, we get you more on the markets, a lot of stock-specific action, and a little more.
26 years of CNBC-TV18